Introduction into service. The F-22 underwent extensive testing before its service introduction. While the first production aircraft was delivered to Edwards, AFB in October 2002 for IOT&E, and the first jet for the 422nd TES at Nellis AFB arrived in January 2003. IOT&E was continually pushed back from its planned start in mid-2003, with mission avionics stability being particularly challenging. 22 were away to following a preliminary assessment called OT&E Phase 1. Formal IOT&E began in April 2004 and was completed in December of that year. This milestone marked the successful demonstration of the jet's air-to-air mission capability, although the jet was more maintenance-intensive than expected. Follow-on OT&E, FOT&E, in 2005 cleared the F-22's air-to-ground mission capability. The first combat-ready F-22 of the first fighter wing arrived at Langley AFB, Virginia in January 2005, and that December, the USAF announced that the aircraft had achieved initial operational capability, IOC, with the 94th Fighter Squadron. The unit subsequently participated in exercise Northern Edge 06 in Alaska in June 2006 and exercise Red Flag 072 at Nellis FB in February 2007, where it demonstrated the F-22's greatly increased air combat capabilities when flying against Red Force aggressor F-15s and F-16s with a simulated kill ratio of 0.80. These large force exercises also further refined the F-22's operational tactics and employment. The F-22 achieved full operational capability, FOC, in December 2007 when General John Corley of Air Combat Command, ACC, officially declared the F-22s of the Integrated Active Duty 1st Fighter Wing and Virginia Air National Guard 192nd Fighter Wing fully operational. This was followed by an operational readiness inspection, ORI, of the Integrated Wing in April 2008, in which it was rated excellent in all categories, with a simulated kill ratio of 2:21. The fielding of the F-22 with its precision strike capability also contributed to the retirement of the F-117 from operational service in 2008, with the 49th Fighter Wing operating the F-22 for a brief period prior to a series of fleet consolidations to reduce long-term operational costs. 17 further consolidations to improve availability and pilot training were recommended by the Government Accountability Office in 2018. Training. The 43rd Fighter Squadron was reactivated in 2002 as the F-22 Formal Training Unit, FTU, for the type's basic course at Tyndall AFB, and the first aircraft for pilot training was delivered in September 2003, following severe damage to the installation in the wake of Hurricane Michael in 2018. The squadron and its aircraft were relocated to nearby Eglin AFB. Although it was initially feared that several jets were lost due to storm damage, all were later repaired and flown out. The FTU and its aircraft were reassigned to the 71st Fighter Squadron at Langley AFB in 2023. As of 2014, B-Course students require 38 sorties to graduate, previously 43 sorties. Track 1 course pilots retraining from other aircraft also saw a reduction in the number of sorties needed to graduate, from 19 to 12 sorties. F-22 students are first trained on the T-38 Talon trainer aircraft. Additional pilot training takes place on the F-16 because the aging T-38 is not rated to sustain higher G-forces and lacks modern avionics. Due to a lack of a modern trainer stand-in that can accurately emulate the F-22, the Air Force often uses F-22s to supplement training, which is costly as the F-22 costs almost 10 times more than the T-38 per flight hour. The upcoming T-7 Red Hawk features modern avionics that better approximate those of the F-22 and F-35. This is scheduled to enter initial operating capability in 2027, several years behind schedule. In 2014, the Air Force stood up the 2nd Fighter Training Squadron at Tyndall AFB, which was equipped with T-38s to serve as adversary aircraft to reduce adversary training flights on the F-22s. To reduce operating costs and prolong the F-22 service life, some pilot training sorties are performed using flight simulators. The Advanced F-22 Weapons Instructor course at USAF Weapons School is conducted by the 433rd Weapons Squadron at Nellis AFB. Initial operational problems. Initial operational problems. Edit. During the initial years of service, F-22 pilots experienced symptoms as a result of oxygen system issues that include loss of consciousness, memory loss, emotional lability, and neurological changes, as well as lingering respiratory problems and a chronic cough. The issues resulted in a fatal mishap in 2010 and 4-month grounding in 2011, and subsequent altitude and distance flight restrictions. In August 2012, the DoD found that the brag valve, which inflated the pilot's vest at high G, was defective and restricted breathing, and the OBOG's onboard oxygen generation system unexpectedly fluctuated oxygen supply at high Gersin der 300 in 2005 of the Raptor. Aeromedical Working Group had recommended oxygen system changes that were unfunded, but received reconsideration in 2012. The F-22 CTF and Forward 12th Aerospace Medicine Squadron eventually determined breathing restrictions as the root cause. Coughing symptoms were attributed to acceleration atelectasis 23 from high G exposure and OBOGs delivering excessive oxygen concentration. The presence of toxins and particles in some ground crew was deemed unrelated. Modifications to the life support and oxygen systems, including the installation of an automatic backup, allowed altitude and distance restrictions to be lifted in April. Operational service, which involves 2 to 4 F-22s and 1 C-17 for logistical support, first proposed in 2008 by 2 F-22 pilots. The goal was for the type to be able to set up and engage in combat within 24 hours in smaller and more austere environments that would enable more dispersed and survivable disposition of forces. This concept was tested at Wake Island in 2013 and Guam in late 2014. 61 4 F-22s were deployed to Spangdahlem Air Base in Germany, Wask Air Base in Poland, and Amari Air Base in Estonia in August and September 2015 to further test the concept and train with NATO allies in response to the Russian annexation of Crimea in 2014. The USAF would build on the principles of Rapid Raptor and eventually integrate it into its new operational concept called Agile Combat Employment, which shifts towards distributed operations during peer conflicts. For instance, detachments of F-22s have operated from austere airfields on Tinian and Iwo Jima during exercises. On 4 February 2023, an F-22 of the 1st Fighter Wing shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon within visual range off the coast of South Carolina at an altitude of 60,000 to 65,000 feet, 20,000 Demer, USAF, marking the F-22's first air-to-air kill. The wreckage landed approximately 6 miles offshore and was subsequently secured by ships of the U.S. Navy and U.S. Coast Guard. F-22 shot down additional high-altitude objects near the coast of Alaska on 10 February and over Yukon on 11 February. The USAF expects to begin retiring the F-22 in the 2030s as it gets replaced by the Next Generation Air Dominance NGAD 6th Generation Crewed Fighter, the Boeing F-47 In May 2021, Air Force Chief of Staff Charles Q. Brown Jr. said that he envisioned a reduction in the future number of fighter fleets to 4+1. The F-22 followed by NGAD, the F-35A, the F-15E followed by F-15EX, the F-16 followed by MRX, and the A-10. The A-10 was later dropped from the plans due to that aircraft's accelerated retirement. In 2022, the Air Force requested that it be allowed to divest all but 3 of its Block 20 F-22s at Tyndall AFB. Congress denied the request to divest its 33 non-combat coded Block 20 aircraft and passed language prohibiting the divestment through FY 2026. While the Block 335 F-22 remains one of the USAF's top priorities and will be continually updated. The service believes the Block 20 aircraft is obsolescent and unsuitable even for training F-22 pilots, and that upgrading them to Block 3035 standards would be cost prohibitive at $3.5 billion. In September of 2025, Lockheed Martin revealed plans to modify 35 Block 20 F-22s used for training purposes to combat ready Block 3035 F-22s. According to U.S. officials, F-22s and F-35As launched from land bases in the Middle East were used to attempt to draw surface-to-air missile fire ahead of B-2 bombing runs during the United States strikes on Iranian nuclear sites on June 2025. In January 2026, F-22s along with F-35s, B-1s, F-A-18s, EA-18s alongside various intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft, and numerous drones were used to dismantle and disable the air defense systems in Venezuela to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The operation resulted in the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.